Hey everybody, it's your girl Sherry, and welcome back to another episode of Alleged Actually Podcast. So you guys know today is Wednesday, and so it is 90 Day Fiance The Other Way time. And so me and Big Nige are here to give you guys the rundown on what went down on Monday night's episode. So first, let me just check in with Big Nige. How you doing over there, Big Nige?
Doing well. This episode was titled Fools Rushed In, and definitely starting to get a lot of reality checks for a lot of these couples. I do want to mention the side note that I did just make another big boy purchase and I bought a camera.
That's
So
nice.
you guys will probably see some better quality from my camera and my videos, I guess, as time goes on, whenever I get this thing set up and squared away. So, yeah, taking this podcasting thing more serious, and you guys will take notice in the future.
Awesome. I guess I'm gonna have to step my game up, guys. So get on Big Nige's level over there. But for anybody that's here that's new, welcome. Over here at Alleged Actually Podcast, we do reality TV show recaps. We do pop culture segments, and we also have started now doing special interest interviews, which this Friday we will be dropping an interview with Mrs. Brandy Gamble, who is a co-author of Design Your Wealth Mindset. She's giving some wonderful financial tips, tips on preparation for retirement, things that Big Nige doesn't have to worry about just yet. But you know what? In all actuality, he does. It's never too early to start. So I just encourage you guys all to tune in for that on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But today, if you're here, you are here because you want to talk about 90 Day Fiance The Other Way. That's what we're going to do. So on this episode, we had Shekinah Sarper, we had Joanne and Sean, Josh and Lily, and TaTa and James. And it wasn't, for a couple of them, there wasn't a whole lot going on, but for the latter two, we got a little stuff to get into. So we're not gonna belabor you. We're gonna get right into it. So we're gonna start off with Shekinah and Sarper. So the episode starts with Shekinah going to get her consultation because she is getting ready to have yet another nose job, or the medical term rhinoplasty. So initially she brings Sarper along for the consultation. And Sarper is very apprehensive about Shekinah getting her nose done. You know, they've got questions, and apparently this individual is really good at rhinoplasty surgery. She's had 2 previous nose jobs, and they did not turn out as she wanted them to. And I'm thinking, good gracious, girl, you done got your nose done twice, and you're doing it again. Child. But I'm going to say this. I mean, her and Sarper both, no shade, but they both look absolutely plastic. So it's kind of on brand. I don't know if Sarper's had anything done, but I don't know. It kind of looks like it, but maybe not. At any rate, there's not a whole lot to this one other than one of the things when she is asking questions, you know, they come to find out that Shekinah is going to have to be put under for 3 to 4 hours, which makes Sarper nervous. He wants to know also, you know, about, well, we'll get to how her recovery time is going to look. But in the meantime, he decides that if he cannot convince Shekinah not to do it, because that's what he would prefer, her to just leave it alone, not put herself under the knife, and not cause the risk of anything going wrong. If she just has to do it because it's something that she wants to, you know, Sarper's got to have his input. So y'all on the show, Sarper literally is up there drawing on my girl's nose on how he wants it to be done. Big Nige. What did you think about that?
Yeah, that was very interesting to say the least. I surprised she was able to sit still for so long, because anything near my nose, it would make my nose tickle. Like I would just shudder. That's just, and you kept doing it continuously with a marker.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I trust somebody to just be drawing on my face like that, even if it's for the nose doctor. I would have been like, if he wants to do it, sure, but I don't need my partner
That
doing
was
all
so
the extra.
crazy.
This didn't make any sense to me.
It made no sense. And it was just sarpering, as I say. And also his little last bit of flex of control. But they actually, when they come back to Shekinah and Sarper, it's the day of the surgery, and she's going, and he's in tow, and he is still a ball of nerves. And so much so that Shekinah is almost like, I kind of wish I had left you at home. But before they get ready to go back there, there is some conversation about recovery time and things that she's going to have to do in recovery. Number one, she will not be able to take a bath. Um, well, she won't be able to wash her face from neck down. She can um, for the first week, and then she can't brush her teeth for the first week, which is crazy. And what's the other thing? I mean,
They get no
overall,
happy
oh,
time.
the big one, yeah, they cannot have sex um, for 30 days, and Sarper broke that thing down to hours, y'all, honey, 7,200 hours. He can't, child, but she does get clarification if they're gonna do it, and he's gonna do all the work. As long as her blood pressure does not spike, she can partake. That's crazy. At any rate, Sarper is, well, both of them are concerned because she is going to, she kind of says, listen, I'm a little nervous because I'm not, after coming out of this surgery, I'm not going to be my bubbly self. And I'm thinking, ma'am, you haven't been bubbly for a while now. You've been putting the hammer down. There's no more bubbly Shekinah. But okay. She's concerned because she's not going to be her bubbly self, and she's going to be in a lot of pain. And she's going to need him to literally be selfless instead of selfish, and to really take care of her. And Sarper, on the other hand, has kind of similar concerns in that he loves her so much. He is definitely going to be so nervous and anxious while she is unconscious and getting the surgery. And even he is wondering, can he step up and take good care of her? Because on Shekinah's side, that's also one of her things. That's her list. That can make or break them. She needs to know that he's going to be willing to put everything to the side and take care of her, put her first, cater to her. So we're going to have to see how that goes. Big Nige, what were your thoughts? I mean, I like seeing the softer side of Sarper. Say that fast, guys. But yeah, what'd you think, Big Nige?
Okay, thinking about this episode, starting with Shekinah and Sarper. I mean, you hit on a lot of the key points. Um, I think it was, the anxiety from Sarper that was really kind of a cause to pause. It kind of shows his like true feelings. Like he's like in this vulnerable state with her. He wants to make sure she's okay. Again, still that control side of him. He wants to control, every part about the surgery down to the point where even he's trying to change her nose, literally. Um,
Yeah.
but we do get to see Sarper in the softer side, not the playboy, not the control freak ish, and of course not the anger side. We seeing his soft side. Um, it just seems like they're both worried, but it's honestly worried about the same thing. She's worried how he's going to react, and of course he's worried about how she's going to recover. And
Yeah.
at the same time, they're both worried about the same thing, essentially. And so, with all those key points you made, I definitely think the nose doctor. I didn't catch his name because I couldn't spell it or pronounce it for the life of me. Um,
Yeah.
but he was kind of a little bright spot in the show, kind of like saying, I understand where Sarper's coming from, the love security that he's providing her, but he also kind of needs to take a step back and leave it to the professionals. I thought that was kind of funny. Um, but other than that, I mean, we get to see Sarper's true feelings.
Yeah.
We'll see how it progresses, and can he really take care of her? Can he really step up? Or is this kind of like episode titles, Fools Rushed In? Is he maybe getting way over his head? Is his word not enough for her when she's in this mindset of, I need to make myself look better? I don't like my nose. I don't care if you like my nose and you think it's beautiful. it's going to get changed whether you like it or
Right.
not.
Yep.
And so is that going to be too much? Is that maybe alluding to some maybe self-esteem from the past relationship, childhood we don't know about Shekinah, but that's definitely something to take note of because typically when you have these kinds of issues where it's about you, obviously you care what your partner says, but she seems to not care at all what Cypress says. So that is
Point.
something we'll have to continue to see as their relationship continues to blossom and move forward.
Yep, I concur. We'll just keep watching Shekinah and Sarper. So, on to our next couple of the night, Joanne and Sean. The majority of their scenes was really with Joanne and her oldest son, Joey. He is packing because it's time for the boys and Noel to go back to the States, back to New York. And Joanne has been kind of feeling, you know, bummed because she's picking up on Joey's energy, that he's not happy. And she says that Joey's a lot like her. You know, when he's upset, instead of maybe coming right out and saying it, he becomes passive aggressive. And that, you know, they both don't deal with their feelings very well. And so, or they'll become sarcastic, which we see her do a lot, and him too, because he does do that in the episode. But while he's packing, you know, Joey wants to talk to his mom. He does have some questions for his mom. And he wants to know, does she have a date yet? Does she have a final date of when she's going to legit move herself to Ireland? And she's like, no, I don't have it like on the calendar yet. But the way she's going to do it is she's going to spend the majority of her time in Ireland, and then she'll be back in New York, which, y'all, again, I'm perplexed as to how she thinks she's going to make that work. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of money. And if she's in Ireland, you know, what kind of job does she have where she can just go bouncing back and forth between Ireland and New York? I mean, I don't know. Y'all weigh in the comments and tell me what you think, but that's her plan and lack thereof. And she says, you know, she really wants her kids to be happy. And she said that Joey's feeling the pressure, that it's going to possibly be on him if something goes on with Jesse, because even though Joanne is trying to reassure him, look, I'm not just dropping you off or leaving you there with no one. You'll have your grandma, your aunt, your dad, but his dad is 45 minutes away. And if you guys recall, her mother lived in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like she was in New York. Now, she may decide to move in with the boys, but again, she's not asked her mother that. There is no plan. This is her off the dome just saying what she thinks will happen. So you got Joey like, okay, so I'm starting to pick up here that your lack of planning, or even, I'm not going to say she doesn't care because I know she does, but her thoughts of living in the moment in her decision to do what felt good for her and Sean and not carefully plan out how that would affect her children or her family, period. She hasn't had a conversation with the father of her children. She hasn't had a conversation with him. She did let her mom know, but she hasn't said, and oh, by the way, by me being in Ireland, you're going to need to step up and help me with the boy. I mean, the whole thing is just, yeah, listen. And Joey says, and then, you know, she does say, she assures him that if something happens, she's on the first plane. But again, y'all, it's not like you can blink and be from Ireland to New York, okay? I just feel like she's not in reality here. And Joey feels like he's pretty much dealing with a lose-lose situation. He admits that he'd rather not have his mom in a different country. And she admits that she really didn't think about the negatives. And she admits that Joey has a lot of valid points and questions. So at this point, she just keeps, you know what really annoys me about Joanne is that stupid look. She just, you know, when it's like Joey and her reverse role, like he's the parent, she's the child. Like he's like, well, did you think about this? Well, what about that? And she's, No, it'll work out. Oh no, trust me. If you need me, I'll be on the first plane smoking. And take how many hours it take? Child, I can't. Nige, Big Nige, hop in here. Yeah.
Yeah, so just like you said, the crux of this episode in regards to Joanne and Sean was the conversation between Joey and Joanne. Um, and it was kind of sad, honestly.
Yes.
Sad that your oldest child, mind you, is asking the questions that the adult should have already, brought to the table, should have already addressed.
Yeah.
Um, and that just wasn't the case. Bulls rushed in again. I, it just, especially Joanne and Sean. And the crazy part is they have the capability to make this relationship work.
Oh yeah.
They just had no planning. They have the emotion, they have each other's backs. They're going in this together, and I love that about them. But the planning, the not taking into detail or into consideration their kids, their
Mhm.
families,
Mhm.
who are all suffering because of their inadequacy with planning. They just did not plan this out. They did not bring the right people into this conversation or even to this decision. So they're just Joanne's finally starting to realize that they didn't take the necessary time to process this. They didn't sit down with each other's families to really understand what they were about to do and to take
Mm-mm.
this next step blindly. It just made no sense. If they were single, I could understand it. It's
Sure.
the fact that they both have kids, they both live miles and miles apart, different countries. It's like it just did not make sense to me. And it gets into the second part of the episode because, like you mentioned with Joey and Joanne, like yes, he's asking her, who do I have now? Lose lose situation. Rather not have my mom in a different country. Like all those points. But then they get into the car ride back toward the airport. Um, Noelle and the kids, like you said, they were flying back, and she kind of breaks the ice in the car, very tense in the car, and she's like, I like Sean. He's a cool dude. Um, and then of course Joey had to chime in. It's like, well, I only knew him for a little bit of time.
Right.
They really, he wished he could have more one-on-one time, especially after hearing what he heard about them being married. Um, he did say that he needs to talk to his brother and figure out what's going to be the next big step, and what decision are they going to come to together, because clearly he has lost his faith in his mom to make those decisions for them, because she
Yeah.
just she just likes to withhold information. So they knew about Sean, they just didn't know Sean was this important, right? Withholding information, not telling the full story. Um, and even Sean is starting to have his concerns. It's like, we really didn't think this through. It's really might not work because there's a lot of moving parts that they failed to realize prior to making this decision, and not only making the decision, but sitting on that information for so long. Got kids, custody, school,
Yeah.
finance, all these things that they just did not,
Yeah.
or just chose blatantly to ignore, to say it'll work itself out. It's coming right back in them and biting them in the butt.
Yep. I agree. And she had made the comment that she was hoping that this week of having them, with all of them together in Ireland, would give them some clarity. And yet, all it did was cause more confusion. To me, it just shows how naive both of them were, because they both basically made the same statement that it's starting to finally hit them that it may not work. I mean, there is a lot that they didn't consider. And to me, it's really unfortunate because out of these couples that we're talking about tonight, or really the couples that we're talking about all season, they really could have made it, y'all. I mean, that's genuine love I see. And even though when I first saw them on the first episode, I kind of felt like, what's the gimmick? Because, Sean does look younger than Joanne, and you guys weigh in and let me know what you think. But some say, he's hot, the tatted up guy, he's a nice looking guy. He looks younger. One would at first, when I first saw him, I was thinking, okay, what's the angle we got going on here? But there doesn't seem to be one. He seems to be a legitimately good guy, loves Joanne. Joanne loves him. He's good with her boys. Bella blends in good with I mean, if a couple on this season could work, it could be them. I hate that they did it this way. I do. But we're just going to have to keep watching and see. You know, fortunately for both of them, they have really good kids that really love them. And so sadly, we may see the kids sacrifice some of their happiness or some of their wants to make sure, the boys particularly, to make sure their mom is happy. So we're just going to keep watching and see. But that brings us to our next couple, Lily and Josh. First, let me say before we get into Lily and Josh, if you have not yet, go ahead and give us the thumbs up. Just go ahead and like this. We come every week and try to give you this good content because 90 Day is shaping up to be a pretty good season. So go ahead and like if you haven't yet. Go ahead and hit the subscribe and share. And please, y'all, we like to hear from you. We want to know what you think about the couples, about the season. So weigh in on the comments. And like I said, just thumbs up. Thanks, guys. But now we're going to get into Lily and Josh. So I want to say first, I feel horrible again this week for Jared. My goodness. He thinks he's going on vacation, hang out with his brother. I mean, and granted, we find out that Jared is very used to playing the peacemaker in Josh's relationships. That's just what he does. Child, listen, being a big sister, and I don't know, do they mention who's older between Jared and Josh?
I think Josh is older. I think he's the older brother.
Okay.
I'd be wrong, but I think he's the older one.
Okay, because I wasn't sure about that. But Jared, apparently this is not anything new for him. He plays peacemaker for Josh a lot. So this time is no different. So we come back to them still in the car after Josh had that one-liner last week with thanks for ruining my brother's night. And they arrive at the market, which is it was cool too. I'm like, y'all are showing some pretty cool stuff in these different countries. At nighttime, apparently they have I think it was called, what's it called, the nighttime market, where you can choose a plethora of food, because one of Josh's requests for Jared was that he wanted to try different types of Chinese food. So they have everything at their, to choose from, all kinds of food. They cook it right there. I thought that was pretty cool. So Josh says he's really happy that Jared is there, which we know. However, he realizes that he kind of throws his brother into the fire. I mean, it's awkward, y'all. Awkward as heck. I mean, I don't know about you, Big Nige, but I mean, have you ever been out with your friends that are a couple and it's all this drama and you just want to just push a button and disappear? I mean, awkward. But he says that Jared has always been a nice peacemaker. And at this point, Lily also, she one thing I will say about Lily is, you tell Lily something that you want, she's gonna make it happen, honey. So she made sure they came, even despite they had this blowout. But she's like, oh, okay, so we're at the nighttime market. Here's all the good food. She picks out this soup for them to try. So they're going to have some kind of soup. And then they're going to get some squid that's barbecued. Yum. And so Jared talks about the fact that they're still arguing just a couple days before the wedding, and that's not good. So he's trying to get a feel for what's going on, and he's not sure if it's just an argument that was the deal or there's something deeper behind it. So he tells the couple it would be nice for them to kind of try to find some closure on the conversation they had in the car. So trying to make sure they get past that. He does ask Lily about the finances, knowing that his brother Josh, when he's here in China, it was already stated that he was not going to be able to work. That was known before he got there. And he asked Lily, that is the fact that he can't work something that's going to bother her, because it's not like he can blink and go to work and become a provider. That was something they pre-discussed. And Lily goes back to saying, look, my English is not so good, but she pulled out the translator. And she basically lets him know, just basically like she said last week, look, I know he's poor and I don't care. My problem with him is here I'm trying to do all these things for him. I just want him to be grateful. And in return, he's making me feel unloved. And she says that his words hurt her a lot. And she just thinks that he doesn't show her the love that she wants. And from her perspective, she's trying to give him everything he wants, everything that she thinks will make him happy. In return, she wants love. Yet we still keep going to the thing of her bringing up the money. So he lets Lily know that, look, you know, the problem is that every time you bring up how much you pay for something, it makes him feel bad because he can't provide, he can't help. And she says she understands that. It just would be nice if in return he would show her some gratitude. So we kind of get down then to it makes sense, but sometimes even when we get to this point with Josh and Lily, it seems as if you think that you've made some headway, and then in the next 5 minutes she'll be like, it wouldn't shock me at the next time we see them again that as they're wrapping up dinner, she's gonna say, I spent $600 on dinner. I don't Lily, it just seems like that's Lily's go-to. I mean, I don't care how you break it down, whether it's in English or Chinese, she's just gonna let you know I spent my coin. Okay. So good luck, Jared. That was a nice try. But after she breaks it down, Josh and Lily, says you want to remind them of the things that you do for him because, like, he's restating to her what she's trying to say so that maybe it sinks in to Josh. And then he says, well, typically that's a man's perspective. So maybe you guys have kind of flipped the gender roles. Like the man is the provider. The man, usually when his wife wants something or needs something, the man will go out and get it. And in return, he's trying to make his wife happy by giving her things. And if she's not grateful or whatever, then it's the man that generally feels the unloved part. And he said that it just seems like they flipped gender roles. And you can hop in here, Big Nige, because I think I'm hitting a lull. But basically, he's breaking down for them so that they can see each other's perspective. That's what I got from it.
Yeah. What I'll add to this, and the good part about the question you asked, like, have I ever been in that awkward situation? Like, man, Jared, um, actually during college, I had a roommate and he was dating someone at the time, and they would always come over to the dorm room, and it'd be one argument after the other, and somehow I became Dr. Phil playing in the middle. I have to explain to them while I'm studying for an exam or doing homework. Like, yeah, like I'm listening to both sides, and I'm like, okay, you want this, you want that. All right, how do we make it happen? And it just be a whole bunch of nothing. They'd be arguing about something. Next thing you know, somebody just hungry and somebody just need to go get some Chick-fil-A or something, and everybody's all kumbaya. So food is the key. If you're ever upset, you're never upset on a full stomach. So if you're
Right.
upset, you're probably hungry. Um, but all jokes aside, I did like the pear soup that they got to try. That pear soup looked really good. It looked very sweet, but kind of hot at the same time. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't really know what I would compare it to out here in the States, but definitely looked good. Um, but pretty much like you said, Jared still playing Dr. Phil. Um, wants to see if the issues are petty or they are major issues that they really
Right.
need to dive into and kind of dissect prior to the wedding. And like you hit, but the main point, Lily feels unloved, unappreciated. She reminds him of the material things that she pays for him, so he can express his gratitude. Fair point. Um, but I think he wants that emotional stability.
Yeah.
And one of the main things was, like, I think Josh likes to like hear nice things about himself. Like I think Josh wants to hear compliments. He wants to hear, like, similar, like you said, they're switching kind of roles, like, but it's also like their love languages are like just kind of
Yes.
fundamentally different.
Yeah.
It's like they're switched, and because of that, Lily's trying to buy, and then remind him like, "Yeah, I bought you this." It's like a man telling a woman like, "I just bought you this $500 pair of shoes. I did this, got your nails done, hair
Mhm.
done, toes done, whatever." And it's like, I want you to know how much I appreciate you. I don't know why they're putting the price tag by it because most men, I don't. Some of them do, but most men are just kind of like, okay, here, take my card and go shopping, go do whatever. Come back, everything's all happy, all love. Um, but
We're not.
Josh, you gotta find somebody. You gotta find those guys out there. There's some out there. I don't know how many, but
I got a good one. But he don't just hand me the card, y'all. Okay, but okay, he will buy, but he don't just hand it for me to go do what I want. No. Mm-mm.
but and because of that, that's where they're both missing the mark because Josh just wants to be told that he's worth something, like because he feels like he's not anything,
Yeah.
and he just wants that reassurance, like, hey, I know I can't contribute, but it wouldn't be bad to hear that I'm doing this, or maybe I cleaned up the house and I did that very well, so I get a compliment for that. Just little things that would go a long way for Josh, and Lily, she just wants to be appreciated for all the nice things she does as the provider. She just wants to, like, no, like, yeah, thank you so much for buying us dinner. It was a very nice time. I appreciate it. Like, just little things can go a
Yeah.
long way for both of these of individuals. And I want to touch on this last thing that they kind of left us with. And I don't know if you picked up on it, but Lily is concerned about her daughter coming.
Hmm.
Now, she said that something happened, and I'm curious to see what happened, that she wants to clear up all the issues between her and Josh prior to her daughter coming because something happened where her daughter's kind of unsure of Josh, whether it's his commitment to her or whatever, some other thing that we don't know about yet. But that's something to watch out for. This conversation is going to be very pivotal for their relationship between Josh and Lily's daughter.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys caught when they showed the previews for next week, but that is where we're going to pick up next week. And it looks like it's going to be very drama filled. Yeah.
Josh
So
is going to get grilled.
oh yeah. Oh
He's
yeah.
going to get
Yeah.
grilled.
Yeah. And then his reaction to it, to me, would be a turn off. But we got to get the context together before I make an opinion on it. But definitely want to tune in next week to see what happens with Josh and Lily. Because, yeah. So that brings us to our last couple of the night. And, I always like to see what people are saying about the show. And so I can make sure that, we touch on the things that are people are most either blown away by or, turned off by, whatever. Well, let me just say the consensus is everybody is so mad at TaTa this week. And so, um, yeah, so we're gonna get into it. So James and TaTa are in it's a taxi, but it's like an open, I don't even know what you would call it, but kind of like a carriage ride, but not similar in style. They're navigating through Indonesia, and the traffic is crazy. Uh, Looks like a dune buggy or something like that, maybe. And at this point, y'all, they've been in Indonesia for 6 weeks, and he said it's definitely harder than he thought it would be. He says TaTa's parents are not the easiest to live with. And the same thing that she was concerned about is exactly what's happening. Her parents, and her dad in particular, likes to run stuff, likes to be in control. They are living under her parents' roof. So as a man, he feels like, yo, this ain't it. I'm not about another man telling me what I can and can't do or what, so that's not landing well. But she knew that. And so just as she had feared, that's exactly what's happening. And he says he loves them, but he talks about how intrusive they can be and controlling they can be, that it's very difficult to have a love life. But yeah, living under somebody's parents' roof, yeah, you can't do like you can when you have your own place. I mean, which they both knew going there that was going to be awkward. I really think that James just didn't think that was just going to be real life. Like it was going to be very, very temporary. Granted, yes, it's only been 6 weeks, but at this point, he's letting TaTa know, or he's saying that they don't have the funds to move out. And so at this point, he feels like they're just kind of like going through their savings. They're also planning a wedding because when they got married, it was during COVID in the States. Her family couldn't be there. And God knows, if there's one thing that we know about TaTa, she is all about her family. And just like I said, when we found out that TaTa is the baby of all of these siblings, and some of her older sisters mother her, she is the real baby of the family. And so, you know, for her to be away and not to have them there on her special day, it's important to her to now do a wedding ceremony in Indonesia, but they don't have any money. So her parents are footing the bill. I mean, they have some. They did come with some savings, but, you know, James is like, they're just literally hemorrhaging out of their savings. And then the dad is like, okay, we have to have this and we have to have that and this. And it's out of control. So they're going on their way to try some wedding attire on, some traditional wedding attire. James is not feeling the attire, but he's being a good sport. And TaTa thinks he looks so cute, but child, at this point, honey, if she could stay in Indonesia, he could wear a paper bag and she'd be like, that's it, baby. You look all kinds of good. Just don't take me away from Indonesia. So, but at any rate, he feels weird because part of the traditional attire, it's like he has a skirt on. But I mean, listen, different cultures do different things. I thought the material was beautiful. I like looking at traditional things. I thought it was cool. James said that it's been like a whirlwind, and her parents have jumped right on board with planning this wedding. They didn't want to spare no expense, and he just doesn't like the fact again that the parents are just jumping in and being controlling. So TaTa expresses to James that she really wants to help her parents out because here they are staying in her parents' house. She's like, it's almost like, you know, being in a hotel, you know. So she wants to get back to helping them out with that banana chip business. She's not playing about that. James is like, okay, yeah, but we need to figure out how we're going to make some money. That's not going to make us money. And I mean, I can see both sides, but then again, I can't. I totally side with James on this one, but I also see why TaTa feels like we need to contribute because we're staying under their roof. And she said, not only that, and one of the other things that one of the fans said that when they were talking or discussing the episode in some of the fan groups that I'm in, that it seems like TaTa's always crying. And, you know, different ones will say, oh, well, you know, it could be her thyroid. And one person was like, she has not really mentioned that thyroid, which is not true. She has brought up her thyroid condition. That's why she was concerned about wanting to go ahead and try to have children. Again, I didn't do my research. I haven't fact checked it, but I have an issue with thyroid. Never heard that it'd stop you from having children. I'm not a doctor. But at any rate, she wants to get busy with helping them with the banana chip business because she said all of her siblings, when they came back home, that's what they did. They hopped right in there and they helped. You know, like she didn't want to be the bad daughter. But, you know, at this point, he's just like, look, I appreciate what they're doing. I want to be a better son-in-law and all that stuff, but I really, and he doesn't mind helping them with the banana chip business, but he just wants to figure out how they're going to make money. And so she gets really angry because she's like, you know what? You could also be learning the language. You know, you should be speaking Indonesian fluently. And, you know, she's like, you know, I feel like you're screwing things up. She reminds him that when she got in the States, she had to learn English. And it wasn't like, he was there spoon feeding her, because he's like, well, I would learn it if you were there, you need to help me. And she just really, what I got from TaTa, and I don't have to give you guys every play by play, because if you watched, that's why you're here, just to get the recap. And if you haven't watched it, you should. But she's very angry and emotional. And it seems like she's taking it out on James, because she's just afraid that anything that he says that's negative is going to result in him not wanting to stay in Indonesia and go back to the States, which would be actually the smartest thing to do. She may have a point that she had to learn English and he hasn't learned Indonesian. She also did let him know, because they're starting to make jewelry, and she's showing him what she made. And he was like, well, you're doing a good job by using all the stones and everything. But again, this is what they have. That's it. He's tried. He wants to do the jewelry business, but I know he's tried to see if he can get their jewelry sold. Well, nobody that owns a jewelry store in Indonesia is going to let an outsider come in and sell their jewelry in their store. They're going to sell their own. So, and they don't have the money to start their own store. So I'm saying a lot to say this. Basically, the controversy is, number one, James has come to the conclusion that it's probably time for them to realistically think about going back to the States. TaTa is not having it. She's like, look, if that's the case, maybe you go back to the States. I'm staying here. I'm not going. So he's between a rock and a hard place. And not Big Nige, I want you to weigh in. But I feel really bad. Partially. I feel bad in a little bit on both sides, but I don't know where the resolve is. I think TaTa would be happy if he was the kind of man that would just shut up, stay with her parents, help them make banana chips, and live off of her parents until her parents get sick of it, I guess. She doesn't seem to want to hear the conversation of, look, we have to get our own place. We have to make our own money. And we certainly can't talk about having a child when we don't even have these things. And I think it's going to come down to the point where he's going to let her know he just doesn't want to have kids as well. So she looks like, she's not going to get what she wants. But she did. Oh, there is one other thing. She is a data scientist, and she has been looking for a job there. And all of her job offers have been in Jakarta, which is an expensive place. And I think she said it was 9 hours away. Is it 9 hours?
Yeah, it was 9 hours.
Yeah, away from where her parents are. So, she ain't trying to do all that. And even if she did do that, the cost of living in that particular city far exceeds what she would make in a salary. And so even that is not the solution. And she hadn't even told James that she'd been looking for jobs. So things are crumbling right before our eyes with James and TaTa. Big Nige, I wanted you to weigh in and give me your thoughts on the couple.
Before I give my thoughts, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
And who do you side with more? Do you feel like when you brought up the question about like TaTa, or when you brought up the point that TaTa feels like James should like help her family with the banana chip business, or are you siding more with James, who was like, it's an empty hobby, it's not going to give us any money, it's not going to put us in a position for anything in the future, so why bother? I'm just curious, who are you siding with at this point in the show?
That's a hard one for me, because I honestly see both. But I will say, me being me, if it was me, I would kind of feel like, I know this is so unpopular, but I would feel like TaTa, in the sense that I would feel so mortified that we were staying there. If the intention was, if my dad's expectation was that we help him with this business, and at this point, that's kind of all they're asking in return, and we're staying in the house, I would feel compelled that we would have to be doing the banana chip business and be working on the side with what we're going to do as an exit plan. But I could not in good faith look at my parents in the face, knowing that's their expectation if that's where we're living, and we don't have the money to give them to help them with any bills. That would be me. Now, like I said, I think that's unpopular, because the logical thing to do would be for her to support her husband and trying to make sure that they can sustain themselves in Indonesia. But I'd be awfully torn. So I think I'd be leaning that way. What about you, Big Nige?
I'm kind of I'm more leaning toward James. I think he's the only one thinking about this situation logically. Like, yes, they're under her parents' roof. Yes, they don't have any money, but the banana chip business, from what I saw, it seems like it's a very time consuming process.
Yeah,
And if the main goal is to make money to get your own place, to get your own infrastructure down, your own roots, it makes no sense to invest all that time. Now, sure, could he help out a day or two or however they could work that out? Sure. I don't knock that at all. But if the goal is to move forward in the relationship and in life and eventually have kids, you're not going to do that by working full time in the banana chip business. Not with how much it takes and how little they're making. It just doesn't make sense logically.
no, it doesn't.
So I side more with James on that, which is kind of shocking because there's a lot of things that I don't agree with what he's been doing in this season. Like again, still hasn't learned the language. I mean, like, brother, it's like I'm not saying he's going to learn it overnight, but like, and of course, we don't get to see all the behind the scenes and how hard he's working. But it
Right.
just the way she comes off, it just seems like he's just putting it off, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a pattern with James. He likes to put things off. He likes to
Mm-hmm.
tell half of the story. He likes to hold the important information to himself and
Mm-hmm.
let everybody else pick up the pieces afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing just that with James and TaTa. I mean, TaTa, and I can see why there's kind of been a bit of an outrage for her as a character
Oh yeah.
in this show, just because she is just giving a lot of energy of a spoiled brat. As
And
soon as
you
she
know what?
doesn't get,
Yeah, that's the exact term of it. She's a spoiled brat. Yeah.
and as soon as she doesn't get her way, she just cries, throws a tantrum. I'm just like, bro, like at some point, you guys have to be willing to have a conversation without all this emotion. Like you guys need to bring out cold logic. And I know some people don't think that way. And I'm
Yeah.
one of those people who operate in cold logic. Whether I want the information or I don't, it needs to be laid out in front of me so that I can make a decision with whomever I'm talking to make the best possible decision. Um, and that's just you just don't get that with these two because as
Mm-mm.
soon as it gets hard, as soon as the conversation is going to hit a breakthrough, something falls apart and the
Yeah.
conversation is deaded, not even finishing what was started. And that to me is the most frustrating thing because you can have those conversations, but you need to come to some kind of conclusion. You can't keep putting it off because again, the finances are their biggest thing and they still have no headway. Are they are they trying? Sure. The jewelry business isn't working. Okay, cool. What's plan B? What's plan C? You know,
Yep.
they're just stuck. Oh, the jewelry business didn't work. Oh, it's time to abandon ship. It's time to leave. Like to her point, to Tata's point, he's ready to leave, and it hasn't even been 3 months. She spent 3 years in the States. I gotta give her that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and granted, were they in a better situation starting out? Yeah, he had his
Yeah.
family business. They had a place. They had nice little puppers. You know, they had the whole thing. They had a whole family there, which is why the fact that she's not even entertaining the idea means she really don't care about that dog like she says she do.
No.
Because if that dog was her baby, like she said, oh, she could at least entertain the idea of going back to the
Right.
States. She wouldn't just immediately dismiss it like she did in that manner. And sure, she might have been upset and might have maybe overspoke, but I genuinely don't think she wants to go back. I
I don't
think
either.
she has shown no steps, no sign, nothing regarding that she wants to leave Indonesia. So if that's the case, this those two are because he's only there for her. And
I know.
again, she was only in the States for
For
him.
him.
So there is no there is no end game for them that I see that this works out. They want to be in two different locations. Their mindset is two completely different things. They can't get on the same page, and it's going to end in a probably not so good way for them, just because they just can't get back on the same page, and it looks like they're not trying to either.
I agree. I mean, there doesn't seem to be resolve, and every time James tries to have that conversation, that it looks like he's leaning the other way, or even wants to discuss it, she melts down into tears. And She's just not willing to bend. She doesn't want to leave her parents. She doesn't want to leave her family. She doesn't want to leave Indonesia. So, and James, they can't seem to figure out any way that they can make it there. Be honest, I don't think he wants to make it there anyway. I don't think he likes it there. So, it's both sides. But y'all, we're just gonna have to keep tuning in to see how that all ends up. I have no predict. I mean, well, no, I have a prediction. I don't think it's gonna work, but I've been proven wrong before. We just have to keep tuning in. So, guys, as I always do, first off, thank you guys for tuning in. But before we close out and say goodnight, I want to give Big Nige a quick chance to shout out his channel, Goatcast Podcast, that he co-hosts with CW. So I'm gonna pass it on over to you, Big Nige.
Yep. So me and my other co-host CW, we are the Goatcast Podcast, and we talk about basketball topics, past, present, and future. You know, clearly you can see the NBA behind me, even though my big head's blocking it off. I'm working on that, by the way. Working on getting all this changed around, better quality, all things of that nature. But like I said, if you like basketball topics, give us a look. We've been having guests on our live streams every Tuesday, 7:30, roughly. Sometimes it can be a little later, but every Tuesday we will be live streaming on the channel. Check us out. We got various topics, a plethora of topics, and we got WNBA topics in there as well. So, stay locked in with us. We appreciate your like, your subscription, any comments that you may have. And I appreciate y'all giving me this platform to come on here and wear different hats with my podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, Big Nine, you've been a great guest co-host. We may have to take that guest off and have some regular segments and keep you on Alleged Actually. I mean, we'll be vying for that. So you guys stay locked in with us. But thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday, continuing to talk 90 Day Fiance The Other Way. And like I said, be on the lookout Friday for that interview with Mrs. Brandy Gamble of Design Your Wealth Mindset. All kinds of wonderful financial tips. Go ahead and start planning for retirement. Put some money in that savings and live well, live happy, and live debt-free. That's what we all dream and aspire to be. So, all right, guys, we're going to bid you good night. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Bye.